game on the end of their Toxin. But outside of that patch, the hero generally just suffers on the big map with a lot of mobility heroes and the fights getting spread around and people just farming. It's not his strength, right? He likes these like tight, close games where you dominate the lane and the game just kind of ends as a result.
Yeah.
And that is the goal here. This is a matchup where Viper historically has been able to do it versus the Queen of Pain. It's a matchup Queen really suffers in because your trade mechanism just doesn't really out efficiency his. The downside is Gaimin have some good answers to Viper in the team fights and in the game. You have the Rubik to turn the break around. You have Morphling to turn it around. In fact, Morphling and Rubik are two of the only heroes in Dota that use Viper spells against him, and they used to be classic counterpicks to the hero. So you kind of picked it into your own counters from a stats perspective, which is maybe unfortunate, right? Because otherwise I think the pick would look a lot better here. But I am worried for the Viper in the mid-game fights where you just get broken, you get turned around on, and you lose your magic resist, you just get shredded. I don't even think the Furion and Lone Druid matchups are that good for him either. Like, Sprout's pretty annoying. The Bear can be annoying if it just gets on top of you instantly before you put stacks on it. So this pick goes both ways. Basically, we need to see some lane dominance out of XM. He needs to step up, decimate Quinn in the first levels, get a huge advantage, and then if Azure can play around the Viper's advantage, keep the Queen of Pain down, and their two side laners can stand their ground against the Lone Druid and the Morph, this draft can come together really nicely, and they're just going to dominate the mid game because the advantage is going to be way too much for Gaimin to fight into.
Morphling is the #2 counter
Yep.
of Viper, according to Dota buff matchups, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, offensively, you're not going to feel that good as Viper against that matchup, and you've already pointed out the spell steal aspect. Dude, I was looking for Rubik as well. Rubik was fairly middling.
Yeah, the Rubik one's not as... I mean, like, it's nice for the Rubik, but the way Rubik generally functions is anything that's nice for Rubik makes his game better, but it doesn't necessarily make the enemy's game worse.
Sure.
I mean, Rubik's always going to have spells to steal. It's these core matchups that he really suffers. The patches when Viper was the dominant offlaner, when ATF was playing it a lot, etc. There's a couple... Basically, you're either picking an illusion carry. There's Naga, Phantom Lance, or Terrorblade that can all really hurt the Viper in the mid game as long as you get out of the lane. I think Naga's the strongest. In fact, I still think Naga's #1 on the stats in terms of countering Viper. The lane's okay, and then you just...
For the pub stats, it's Phantom Lancer, but...
All right, well, he's up there. I guess CK is also an illusion carry.
Yep.
But outside of
also
those,
there.
I think the go-tos were Morphling and Drow Ranger when Drow was viable. And Drow was like a more volatile matchup because sometimes Viper, like Viper Tusk just kills your Drow and then you have no gameplay. But if you get out of that, Drow just outranges you and you're really happy. And on the mid lane, I mean, what was the mid lane counter to Viper? It was Wind Ranger. So that was like what people were trying, right? Wind Ranger, or you try and outrange him with like Lina Sniper type route.
There was some Medusas. Looks like Invoker did all right.
Yeah, there was a Quas Invoker matchup that was like okay, but it wasn't a great patch for Invoker. So it's an interesting hero. He has this like really weird matchups. It's a harder hero to execute than it seems on paper because people just think of Viper as you right click and then that's all you really do. The hero's simple to play, but he's actually kind of hard to win with a lot of times in competitive.
Well, we'll see whether or not it can find success here because, again, it was picked earlier in this tournament. I'm pretty sure Mar actually played it in the off lane. So, here in the mid, I mean, it's been a while since... You guys ready for the mid 1v1 later today, says Celery. Is that in the rulebook? I know we had a talk about the rulebook earlier today. We had best of ones.
There are 1v1 mids.
Okay.
Potential tiebreaker. So, Azure have a lot of faith in XM. They're saying that low is greater than Somnus. So I guess low is going mid in the 1v1, That makes sense. Throw your carry there. Why not? Maybe Jin Q will play it. Never know.
That's like Liquid, apparently Boxy's really good at 1v1 mids.
They are very different, actually. But, I mean, generally...
Dota would be more... We're going to remember we were talking about having larger rosters for Dota so you could have specialist players.
Yeah.
Imagine if we changed Dota so 1v1 mids was more of a thing. Maybe like the shootout in soccer, aka football. And you had like a specialist 1v1,
Yeah, you know the problem with that?
What's the problem with that?
I'll give you 3 letters that are the problem with it. EGO, my friend. Every mid player has massive ego, so they're never going to let someone else go mid for them, in a 1v1, right? You think Quinn's going to let Tofu go mid in a 1v1.
Well, Quinn
oh, yeah, you got it,
is
man.
a mid specialist.
Exactly, but every mid thinks they're the best laner in the world regardless of the rule set, you know?
I feel like there's definitely got to be some mids out there that do not think that they're the best laner in the world.
Okay, yeah, that's possible.
Maybe excel at other aspects.
But they don't care. They're still going to play it.
Sure.
And then you go in a random 1v1 mid tournament and Ice shows up and throws coal at your face and kills you. And you're like, okay, this is not fun.
Yeah, I wonder how S4 would do in the 1v. We had a modern 1v1 mid tournament. How good some of the past champs.
Oh,
right?
they would.
S4 was.
They would get handled.
They would get handled.
Yeah. Laning is a skill that is dynamic. Like, laning's not a static skill. It's not like once you get good at laning, you're just good forever.
Sure.
It's constantly updating. It's constantly adapting. There's new items added to the game, new regen items, consumables. You know,
sometimes Valve just puts an extra creep to go to the mid lane.
Yeah, exactly. All these things change, and people are constantly updating it, constantly getting better. So I have no doubt that almost any top-tier player of nowadays would wipe the floor with any player from like 10 years ago, as it should be. Not that those guys are bad, but like, it's a very different game. The
skill is relative, and as the game has become more popular and more money, people practice more and more and more and learn from the mistakes of the past. And nowadays, when you go back and watch replays just of 5 years ago, it looks like a very different game skill-wise.
It's because it is.
Are you still going to say that 5 years from now, though?
I do think I mean, it's probably like logarithmic, right? I think the biggest gains in Dota were probably made in the first 5 years in terms of leaps up, right? Like, there was a lot to still develop, and there was a lot of room for growth. But then your gains become smaller and smaller percentage-wise. Like, nowadays, you're eking out, 1% gains instead of 5% gains.
The man's
missing
a
key. An edge.
What happened to the key?
He doesn't like those, man.
I guess. All right, well, hopefully we'll be able to get these PCs back up online and get our first game of the day rolling. How have you been feeling about the group so far? Who's been standing out for you? Because we've only cast the morning games, so we haven't actually cast the later games.
Chinese Dota for sure, right?
Chinese Dota across the board?
Yeah. Like,
okay.
I mean, people hating on LGD, but it's not like everybody has a great first tournament after a new roster, and I think Jiao will eventually get them somewhere over the course of a year, right? But I think the other two, between Azure and G2IG, they both looked really solid in terms of the synergy, the drafting, bringing some creative stuff to the table. I think Chinese Dota's looked a lot better right now with the recent shuffle than they have in a long time.
Yeah.
And I think people were kind of like losing faith in them to be able to compete at these lands. But I was thinking about like this land, who is the favorite to win it all at this exact point in time? It would probably be Gaimin on paper, just from like results of last year.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at the gameplay, I feel like there's a lot of teams that can compete with them, give them a run for their money, and show up and do pretty well right now, right? It doesn't feel as Western Europe dominated at this event as some of the previous ones.
Yeah. It's never good when one region is dominating.
And so I think that bodes well for the rest of the year. Now, it could end up in the same place, right? I'm not putting like a huge amount of stock in that. Oh, Western Europe's dead and all these regions are going to dominate them, whatever. But it seems a lot more balanced to me. Like, I feel like a lot of these teams are competing pretty well with each other. You have the MENA region coming up with Falcons and Quest that I think are going to be like
Which helps with the Western European dominance by basically splitting that region in half.
But you're still spreading it out. You have different qualifiers, different metas. You come to land, different teams are ahead or have to catch up, right? You're spreading out the experience of the veteran players. Like, that makes a difference over the course of time. You had some SA players that branched out as well, right? Like Whisper going to OG. You know, you're going to spread some experience and knowledge. It's going to go back into these regions. It helps over the long term. So for me, I think China coming back is very good for the Dota scene. I think them making a resurgence here is help boost their region's confidence, and I think it's a result of them bringing back some of these players like Jin Q, Ame's coming back, you know, and maybe some of that started with like that run from Azure at TI. Somnus, FY coming back, big names, historical names in the Chinese scene, proving that they're still skilled enough to do it. It's just the team structures for them in the setup just has been off for like the last year or two, right?
Yeah.
And there's reasons for that, but hopefully it comes together a bit and there's a bit more stability, because these are rosters that need time to gel and like get that synergy going.
And even just within individual tournaments, like for most of Dota's history, I would say the Chinese teams have been slower starters. And I think we saw that for day one of this tournament. I think G2IG didn't start off particularly well. I was watching what, they lost Tundra, and I was watching that series, and they didn't look great there. But they've gone on to then beat Liquid, beat Falcons. You know, they're getting there now.
Yeah, and for me, I'm evaluating this not just on, you know, wins or losses, but it's on the gameplay, right? Like, when you're watching G2 IG play, I've been impressed by how fast they've gelled and how good some of the team fights have looked, the map play, the warding, all of these things, right? It just looks solid. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to win this LAN. Like, maybe they come 6, maybe they come top 3, maybe they don't lose it, they don't win a single game after this, but it's still a good sign because you're at the start of a new year. And you just want to have some promise so that people have confidence to build on that. And, you know, you feel like you can compete. That's the biggest thing. Do you feel like you can compete with these top-tier teams? For a lot of times, it just has felt like a huge gap existed. And that's very difficult to overcome. It's existed in a lot of regions, too. Like, you have some dominant team at the top of the region. Nobody feels like they can compete with them. I think NA is, like, the best example of that, right? There were years where it's like, who's competing with Shopify/EG stack in NA?
Right.
And you just
get shit on in the first 5 minutes,
Exactly.
and you've lost your lanes, and you're down like 3K in the first 5 minutes. Yeah. Like you don't really get to learn that much.
Right. So you spend 5 years learning how to lane, and then you go to LAN, you get shit on in the mid game, and it's like, well, this was useless. You know, not that I've been there, but it creates a sense of gatekeeping, and sometimes that just like hurts a region overall. Cause it's like, well, why would I even try hard if I'm just going to get gate kept? Not that anybody's gatekeeping people, but
intentionally,
right?
But, you know, accidental gatekeeping exists.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Regions rise and fall like empires, you know.
Yeah.
They come and go. So I don't know. That's an interesting dynamic too. But I think the more players get spread around regions, the better it is for the health of Dota. And I think that's also a reason that C has sometimes underperformed at LANs historically, because I feel like a lot of the talent gets sucked out of C.
Yep.
But not a lot of people go to C, right? I think the only 2 instances I can remember that were like a Western captain or coach or something that went to C and tried to be there for a longer amount of time was outside of some of these random coaches. Was probably Demon.
Yeah.
On that TNC team that went to like the top 8 at TI, right?
Sure.
And Fly when he tried to join, I guess like the early T1 Talon roster.
Yeah, when they had to go through open qualifiers, and that bombed pretty hard.
Neither of them really lasted too long, right?
Yep.
And I think it's rare that you have Western players going to C. I mean, it's also a hard cultural transition, both ways, right? There's like a reason a lot of these C players end up going back to C. But I think it is a factor for the region. Like, you get it feels a bit more isolated to me. And I think it's hard for them to go on LAN and play against like Western Europe. Like, how much experience do some of these C teams have with the Western European idea of Dota, their strategization, their drafting, this type of stuff? I just feel like, you know, Eastern Europe, especially China, and sometimes even NA, just get more exposure to it because of like the mix of personalities at LAN, how people interact with each other. For example, at this point, I feel like NA and Western Europe, okay, I'm not saying NA competes with Western Europe, but a lot of NA players have gone to Europe and are working out successfully there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true for a lot of the C players who've gone to Europe to the same percentage, outside of some of the old ones like Mid1, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, Gabby went there and had like an okay run, but now he came back, right?
Yep. And that's what makes this season so interesting, is that we have C talent returning to Southeast Asia, and we've also got Taiga going back. So it's perhaps going to revitalize the Southeast Asian scene, though that hasn't worked out so far at this tournament. We are going to be back up online with a game coming up very shortly. Sounds like it's going to be around maybe less than 5 minutes. So we're going to take a short little break and come back with the game ready to go. Never let it be said, I'm not a man of my word. I said less than 5 minutes, and we had less than 2. Already back in, ready to go with Gaimin Gladiators versus Azure, the opening game of the day to determine the end of our group stage and who's going to be getting eliminated, who's going to be ending up in the upper bracket, if we're going to have any tiebreakers. A lot of questions going to be resolved today, Avery.
And it's going to start with some early warding. Fury on TP, skilled level 1, you TP out, you ward the cliffs, you try and get the early D wards. They check the ward mid as well. So Gaimin know there's this Radiant Obs here. They're going to probably try and fight for the D ward, as Celery scouting will probably pay off. Downside is you have that teleport for the first waves on the lane. A little weaker. Actually going
It's going to be a contest here, 2 for 2, but Low is going to be in some trouble. Blocked up a bit. Couldn't quite get fully in front of him, but the Blood Grenade's going to slow him down. Telekinesis is going to be leveled by Tofu to ensure he gets the kill over to Ace. So, very nice of him. It does mean no Fade Bolt, but
that was
probably worth it.
Aggressive contest by Low.
Yeah, a little
Maybe
bit.
not expecting the TP by Furion. It will hurt Celery a bit. He will have to... Oh, he guesses wrong on the ward. That's just a 50-50 they lost on. Interesting. I mean, the smoke out from Azure pays off here as they save their early obs on mid. As we'll see how much it helps XM, because this is big for the Viper usually. The high ground ward for Viper allows him to just, orb walk you a lot more on the lane. That's why Gaimin were looking for it. Like, they smoked out, they teleported out, they were really trying to secure the vision on the mid lane, because it would help Quinn a pretty decent amount here as the lane goes on between, like, the 3 and 5. So not getting that's a pretty big deal. We'll see how much it pays off for XM on the later levels, as right now, just take Scream, try and shove the lane in as much as you can, and win these early waves while you have a chance to win them, because the 3 through 5 is not going to be pretty for the Quinn of Pain. I can't even say it right anymore. But it will help some of the side lanes here as, Celery battling hit against a strong lane top as best he can. And I'm curious to see how well Jin-Q performs as the tournament goes on, because I think he's had a very good tournament so far. I think this is the standout player for this team. When he's cooking hot. And Muerta's another one of these, signature playmaker range damage supports that he can shine on.
Yeah, we keep on going to the Muerta, and it's, not hard to see why when it gives you the kind of team fight that it does with the calling, but also it feels like I would have a sense of security as the game goes later, knowing I have a 4-position Muerta that basically becomes a kind of 2 position at some point in the net worth.
I don't know how often that transition actually works out. Like, we've seen Muertas get farmed, but do they actually win these later fights? I don't know. I feel like
I see it more often than not that they're like killing a core solo with their
but
damage.
then I also feel like they lose the game.
Yeah, that might be possible.
Maybe I'm recency biased, but we'll see. I think it is a hero that can just pop off with the kill throw later. There's also this parting shot that is sometimes just ridiculously strong, but we don't see it in competitive a lot.
Yeah, I wish it was played with a little bit more, because it is very interesting ability.
And the lone Druid lane dominance continues here as Lifestealer Tree, not enough sustain to battle up against level 1 Lift and a Bear. I don't know. This bottom lane has just not been played well by Azure early.
No, the fact that they lose a fight against Telekinesis.
Yeah, with the Leech Seed plus a Lifesteal. Like, this lane's just not been traded out too well. They even had a double wave on them too. Like, this is just wrong, Sometimes that is lone Druid, I guess. Early waves are tough against this hero when he has an extra 2,500 HP between 2 Bear Lives.
Yeah. Traditionally, Lifestealer has been a very good matchup against the Lone Druid, but I do kind of wonder if that matchup is a lot harder for Lifestealer for one specific reason, which is the Wraith Band change, and how all of these Lone Druids end up going mass Wraith Bands as soon as it takes a level minute 25. That's like a really healthy bump in armor against a hero that counters you through physical damage.
That's true. I also feel like this matchup was the best when Lifestealer was the most comfortable going like the Armlet Deso AC type itemization.
Yeah.
I think Physical Burst is still one of the best ways to deal with Lone Druid, even though you have some Wraith Bands. I mean, there's like Slardar Lifestealer. It's probably still going to dumpster a Lone Druid, but a lot of the modern Lifestealers are not opting for that type of itemization. It's more of like random team fight items or playing off the Infest. That's where a lot of the value from the hero comes. And I just wonder how much that directly affects a hero like Lone Druid. Like, because this is a hero you're going to first pick. In fact, Gaming got its second phase in this draft. And they're very comfortable just letting Ace have a good game on it, and he's going to carry no matter what. The only times I think Gaimin feel bad with this hero are when his laning phase is atrocious. And they said in an interview, you know, Celery was like, well, Ace is a great player to play with unless he's having a rough game. Then you don't want to talk to him. I was like, okay, that's a little toxic, but, you know, what can you do? I've been there.
That's a modern offlaner for sure. Like,
I mean, that was his
there's
words,
no
by
way.
the way, not mine.
Yeah, I know. I believe it.
When he's having a rough game, you don't want to play with him. Okay.
I'm just saying, like, 2013 offlaners, there's no way they could have that kind of personality because every lane was a bad lane.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You know, that quote has come a long way, right? Because that quote 10 years ago, you know, I played with some people where it's like when they were having a good game, you still didn't want to play with them. So we've come a long way. You know, now when you're having a good game,
you want to name any names or
no?
No.
I'll think about it, but no.
Okay. Either way, it does feel like I just checked it out. It's not even in the top 10, not even in the top 20 of counters to Lone Druid. It is way down the list. The Lifestealer versus Lone Druid matchup. He has an advantage, but it is barely an advantage to speak of.
In this meta, if I'm trading Lone Druid for Lifestealer, I'd rather have the Lone.
Yeah.
I just don't think the hero is nearly as strong. So he does have Empower in this game, which is a pretty big factor. And again, like when you pick Lifestealer to deal with heroes, it's not usually in the one-on-one. It's about how the team fight plays out, the map plays out. It's a hero generally you can leave alone a bit more, so maybe it gives you more support mobility and you can affect other matchups. Things like this. This is what ideally you want to use Lifestealer for. And I've always thought about this hero as Infest is a huge spell for another core if you have one you can use. So like this game, if you ever Infest as Viper and maybe he just becomes too tanky off the effective HP bump. That
sure,
can be a
any
big deal
hero
too.
that has higher magic resistance or higher armor gets a big boost from just flat HP from Lifestealer.
The most effective Lifestealer player I've seen is Matumba Man. And I think Liquid, he was one of the only people who was picking it in some of those metas, and he was very effective with it on Liquid. Not just because Matumba Man's a very solid player, but like he was using that Infest to, you know, save 1 HP Mickey Pango or infest a lot of their right-click mids like Shadow Fiend or the Leshrac strategies, right? High damage mids benefit a lot from Lifestealer because he makes them innately way tankier, and I think that's one of the best effects this hero can have on the game. So if you're Azure Ray and you're going into this game saying, hey, we're going to have like an empowered Lifestealer, an empowered Viper, which, you know, not the greatest, but it's still decent damage. This Viper is our mid damage dealer in this game, who should have a good lane in Snowball. Maybe the Lifestealer has like a general effect in that area, right? And they're going to value it for that. But in terms of the vacuum Lone Druid matchup, no, Lone Druid has gameplay. He can get a Basher. He can get a Mjolnir. He can just take it to you. He doesn't care.
You know, when the Magnus Viper duo is really sick?
Nosedive into RP?
No.
Okay, well, I tried.
Level 25 Viper.
I knew you were going to say that.
Becomes universal, and all of a sudden that empower damage gets like double.
All right, you want to hear my bold take of the tournament?
Yeah,
I think the Viper level 25 universal talent is one of the most overrated talents in Dota.
For how much it's talked about, I would not
drop the meme hammer. Drop the hate hammer.
You know, we have headsets on, so Avery can't drop the mic after that one. But I don't really think that was that controversial of a statement.
I think it is. I think people think that talent's one of the strongest in the game, and I think on paper it is.
Yeah,
but
I think Reddit thinks
I think
that.
in actuality of how many games that talent changes from a loss to a win, I think it's very rare. Like I think you're either winning the game with level 25 Viper or you're not.
I wonder if our friends at Lairth have the numbers for us.
Well, the thing is that
the
can also be inflated because I'm sure the stats for level 25 Viper are like mega skewed, you know? If you get to level 25 Viper, I feel like you're probably supposed to win that
He hasn't even gotten the numbers and he's already being defensive about it.
I feel like the level 25...
Hey, there it is.
Pick rate, whatever.
Yeah, win rate, 50%.
Yeah,
it's
so
not
overrated.
That good.
That actually supports me.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying
that's what I was saying. You shouldn't be defensive. It might support you.
I feel like Viper is a hero where his level 25 talent could be like, you know, you lose your attack animation. And, like, it wouldn't do anything. It could also be like, you randomly get an item deleted. And I feel like the hero's win rate would still be the same.
Okay. What if level 25 talent was like, you get an additional item slot? I've been thinking about that a lot because of Nature's Prophet and having to carry a Quelling Blade all the time.
You're going to take a level 25 talent to repurchase a Quelling Blade?
I'm not saying that's what I would do with it. I'm just saying, you know, how Dota would change if you threw it. Now, this lane is.
Yeah, this is I mean, I don't want to like sound extreme or anything, but this is a problem that might make your game very difficult.
Wow, what an extreme statement. I have to apologize to the audience for the hot takes that are coming out of this man today.
I mean, because
whenever
I say lanes are so bad that it might just cost you the game, people are like, well, the game's not over that early, But I'm telling you, the way this lane is going and the way it should be going, this is a big problem because you are giving Lone Druid a massive head start here. You're giving arguably maybe the best Lone Druid player in the world right now a massive head start on a team that plays around him very well. And your Lifestealer has gone to jungle at minute 3. Low he's playing golem catch-up here with the ogres in the jungle, and it's very slow. He has gauntlets and a Quelling Blade, and he's level 2. So this lane is just gone from the game. It's gone. That was your Viper level 25 talent. My safe lane no longer exists.
And considering the fact that they are so reliant on being able to win lane to get momentum there, and the mid matchup is going very well. 17 and 12, XM has a ton of denies over this Queen of Pain, a hero that is very reliant on experience to have an impact on the game. So that is going well, but it feels like you need to win more than just one lane. You need to kind of like get the ball rolling and just
lose the lane this bad.
Yeah.
Like this lane doesn't even really matter too much for Azure because they have Empower for the Lifestealer anyway, but it can't go this disastrously. And right now it is an absolute disaster as Low just has no gameplay down here. And there is nobody in bottom lane except, Treant soaking XP. Okay. I guess you go Living Armor now and throw it somewhere else. But this is going to be a really fast diffusal from Ace. And this is going to be something that Azure are going to have to bring heroes to address. It's not impossible. Their other 2 lanes are going quite well. So, XXS having a terrific time up top. Dyrachyo, he's suffering a bit, but he is finding some farm. And of course, Celery,
get that courier.
He wants to lead this lane, he can, but it's looking tough to do it.
Hit him with the skewer to slow him down a little bit more. Blood Grenade lands, and they'll get that kill. Now, XXS may be in some trouble still because Tofu TP's on in, and they will trade out. Forcing a rotation, though, is something.
Yeah, you release some of the pressure from bottom.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if they could. It's not like they're going to kill the Lone Druid while the support is gone, and I'm not even sure if Lifestealer can comfortably lane.
God, he's going to steal his Mind Stealer.
Oh! Okay. I would have Fate Bolted it.
Low's so happy right now. He's like, oh, thank God, dude.
My game was over if I missed that creep.
20% of my net worth just flashed before my eyes. Please, no.
Oh, there's that Living Armor coming into play. Could be really impactful because they are trying to make a move onto XM right now. He does have Fairy Fire and Magic Wand stacks, so it is not a very easy kill. Want the Power Rune at least for their troubles, but Celery's going to be chased away. Goes for the deny. Actually hits him with the Sprout instead, so the regen doesn't get any regen onto XM.
Yeah, that would have been a very nice rune for XM. And by the way, this mid lane is not a disaster for Quinn at all. He's pretty much playing this damn well and like almost even in net worth. So
I think it's just the levels where he's feeling it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to lose somewhere in this lane, but if he's even net worth on Queen, he gets to level 6, maybe you can kill this Viper even. You're really happy with that outcome.
With the supports constantly rotating into mid, that is certainly a possibility.
Like, this is the point where you want to be killing the Queen with support rotations, not maybe getting turned around on yourself if Gaimin are willing to bring the numbers with the Furion.
Are they going to be able to make this rotation in time? Are you too late? Tofu's making a run for it. He'll get there in time for the contest.
This would be a huge steal if they get it.
Yeah, shouldn't happen.
Theory,
Telekinesis is off cooldown, so Tofu, as long as he sees it coming, which he does, boop, throw him away.
Well, this bottom lane continues to plague Azure a bit. And I feel bad for Low, dude.
Yeah, you're not going to say that too often. Feeling bad for a carry player.
Hey, they're people too.
Like borderline.
At least it's a good hero to jungle with. Got that going for him. And he got Broom Handle. So honestly, things are looking up, you know? You're if you're gonna get trashed on lane, you may as well find the broom to sweep yourself away, sweep your tears away, and come back.
Yeah, now all he needs to do is purchase the dustpan item.
By the way, defusal done for Ace. This must be like the fastest Lone Druid defusal all time. I don't know. It's just crazy fast.
Still in the trees, goes for a desperate TP away, and it works.
Wait, he only lived because the bear got intimidated, right?
Yeah, if it intimidated before any of those hits came in, he lived with like 5 HP, so it would have made the difference. Peered him back into the silence, really nicely played. Unfortunately, it's a Morphling, so a hero that is just very difficult to bring down.
Radiant's bottom tower is
Can you ever kick Dyrachyo out of here to trade the tier 1s? Because you know your tier 1 safe lane is going to die this game for Azure, right? It's going to be inevitable. So can you get the trade top? This lane has gone really well for them. XXS has had a pretty decent laning phase.
Oh, he tried to sneak it.
That was close.
I remember, Dyrachyo's been caught by those before. Not this time, though. They certainly can't kick Dyrachyo out by surprise killing him, I don't think, because they don't have that kind of initiation. Tianming's going to die again in this bottom lane.
It lingered a little too long. I mean, he got some decent XP out of here. Is pretty much all you can do, but clock ticks, and Lone Druid comes for all as Ace continues his reign of terror.
And against a Lone Druid, this living armor is going to feel kind of useless when it comes to keeping the towers alive anyway.
In this game, yeah. Pace is going to be too fast here, especially when Celery can connect as well. Like, you can't just linger around these towers. Backstab is guaranteed. That'll be a fast tier 1 down. His net worth continues to escalate as Quinn's doing a little neutral creep stealing.
Yeah. This maxed out Scream, he just needs to focus on farming since can't do much about that mid matchup.
This is generally the gameplay, right? Just ignore the Viper. It's not like Viper's the scariest jungle hero. He's not going to take your tower. Just go make plays elsewhere if you don't want to interact with him and hope you get some power ins. This game is looking fairly solid for Gaimin at the moment.
Low's not level 6, so dangerous, but fortunately underneath the tier 2 and the leech seed, they can make the trade-off with the bear. Can we see that that pop-up again? How much gold did he get out of lane creeps? 260 compared to 2,600 on the Lone Druid. Oh, man.
That's going to be like an all-time low. No pun. But, you know, like, that means he went to lane, hit like 6 creeps, and then never saw another for the first 10 minutes.
Yep.
The funny thing is his net worth doesn't look that bad, right? That's the power of jungle.
It's not the worst.
Okay, I know it's bad, but like, it's not like he doesn't exist.
Yeah, jungling at level 2, you would expect a little bit worse than that. They are going to be able to kill the tree, but Quinn is going to try and protect the bear here. The bear is going to be dying, but they're going to get a lot of kills in return for it, as XDev is going to be chased down thanks to the haste from Quinn. He makes it pretty easy. A 3 for
the bear.
0.5, yeah.
Ace is just way too big, man. Like, there's no way you're fighting him right now. He has Tread's Diffusal Orb on this bear. It's so damn strong, especially if he has the resummon in the fight. And Tofu just gets to steal Viper spells, throw him around. He now has a full Viper Strike ready for the next engagement. Very nice spell to have early.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah, this map is collapsing fast. And you got to remember, the whole time this is happening, Dyrachyo just gets to sit top. And this is where Morphling thrives. Morphling loves these games where the fights are happening away from him. He just gets solo XP, free farm. It is also one of the carries that will take your tower when he gets left alone. So he's just chilling. You know, he's got to be thinking, I'm having a way better game than Low down there. And, well, he would be correct in that assessment. It'll be an Ags rush for X.
It is a good way to answer Lone Druid.
Yeah, disarm.
Disarm, good attack
slow.
speed slow, doubles it up, gives him more magic resistance against the Quap.
I believe in the idea. We'll see if the execution is there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I ever believe in any Viper game when you're down 5k at 12 minutes.
That's part of it. All right, Low taking the man fight.
Kalo is losing the man fight.
You gotta keep hitting him. You don't have a choice.
Low doesn't have mana. Low doesn't have Infest. Low is going to die a very sad, painful death here.
Is he? He looks like he's chilling. The helm on the courier. Don't lose more network.
No!
Oh my.
He had the empty slot and everything.
Honestly, he should have just ran back and gotten his help.
Yeah, just accept it.
Yeah, that was like even worse that he tried to live. Sometimes it's better to die. 900
Potential
net worth.
shortest match record. 18 minutes and 59 seconds is the record set at this tournament. And we could be looking at a brand new ESL One Kuala Lumpur record. The way this game is going so far for Azure.
If it weren't for this Lifestealer, I feel like they're doing okay.
Yeah, if you just ignore the bottom lane entirely.
Yeah, if you ignore like a third of what happened in the last 13 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, okay, like, you know, put your hand over Ace's net worth at the top.
Yeah.
That's looking pretty good, you know? It's not too bad. Like, he's their whole lead, right? I mean, Gaimin has a 6K gold lead, but that's all Lone Druid.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's an even game. Everybody has 10
straight,
fantasy
son.
points in this one.
Look, you gotta look on the bright side of life, you know? There'll be a quick smoke here. Trying to utilize this Lone Druid strength as much as possible, as Echo Saber is done as well.
I like it when supports cut down trees to get better wards down. I think it's always a cool idea.
It gets dewarded because they saw you cut the tree.
Yeah, but, you know, that's bad luck. XM bursted down way too quickly for supports to come in and help out in time. They just simply have too many levels on Gaimin Gladiators.
Arcane Sonic Wave as well, so up again in 65 here.
Yikes.
And this is one of those spells that, okay, this Queen Viper matchup gets stuck on lane, but
oh,
honestly,
we missed! Shinkyu knew that Dyrachyo was making a run for the Wisdom Rune.
That's going to hurt.
It gets worse and worse and worse.
That's going to hurt. Well,
it's the danger of Gaimin Gladiators, man. They did it at TI, made that incredible lower bracket run by steamrolling over teams in 20, 25, 30 minutes, way faster than any other team was playing at that time, and they continued to demonstrate that as we saw earlier. Currently hold the record for the fastest game against Wawitas, but this game looking like they're going to demolish Azure just as quickly, unless something dramatic happens. The problem is that I don't really see a game-changing ability. Viper doesn't give you that sort of like big playmaking, right?
It's Skewer and RP.
It's Skewer RP.
Blink is up for
Entirely
XXS. His game is still fine, but he's got to start making something happen, right?
Yep.
And you have to bring these spells together with damage. So it has to be the Viper Ags or the supports, and just go with the mag and hope for the best, right? Create the space for Lifestealer on the backside of finding the Lone Druid. The thing about Lone Druid is this hero can be as big as anything, but if you catch him before he ults, he does just instantly die, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes if you get a really good ward, you get 1 or 2 kills on this hero, you can come back. You can pop the big gold pinata. It's not impossible here. Azure will keep their composure, and they will try and find what they can on the map right now and equalize it. And just hope that Empower and some big RP gets them back in this game, as the Ags for XM is done. This will signal the big comeback mechanism with the nosedive.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Just got to get a good fight out of it, and this is perhaps the fight that Azure will want to take. This tier 2 bottom, they will TP everybody, but the ward has been
getting a ward for himself. He's
down.
immediately going to be silenced. Sonic Wave, XM is going to get burst pretty quickly. He's rooted. He can't actually get off the nose side for now, but the Infest is going to be able to come in. That helps out a little bit more, but XM eventually does fall. Dyrachyo is still in some trouble, though. Healed up too quickly. He's actually perfectly fine. Got a little close there, but now it's going to be Gaimin Gladiators just running over Azure and getting as many kills as they can collect. 2 for Ace.
That is one of those fights. I think Azure can actually win that fight if they're there a bit faster and they take the fight around XM sooner, right? Because this fight starts with a ward from Gaimin behind the tower, and they instantly delete XM basically to such a low HP point that the rest of the fight is salvaging that. This RP is pretty nice. You almost get the burst on Dyrachyo.
It was close.
And you do kill a bear off the Lifestealer. There were some decent things happening here. One of the biggest factors, though, is you had no mana on Tianming for Overgrowth. Ooh, like, this is the only fight that probably gets you back in that game, and you didn't get a tree and ulti off because you lack the mana in the fight. That's just something that really can't happen, right? Like, that's a huge spell for an extension past the tier 2 versus a right-click lineup. You just need it there. And that's what I'm saying. If that syncs up more, let's say you have an Overgrowth while the Viper still has some fight left, that fight can look very different, right? It's not an impossible engagement.
Got him in the silence. Pushback. Great execution from Shinkyu.
Yep, this is the type of interaction that can happen. That's what I'm saying. I mean, this game is one-sided, but the team fight for Azure it's not that hard, honestly, if you can land some of these spells. The defensive items are not there yet for Gaming, so their heroes are still susceptible. If you catch the LD before the ulti, if you catch the Morphling before he starts morphing in the silences, he just gets deleted. He does not have the Manta yet. And Quinn doesn't have a defensive item either on the Queen.
Yeah. I will give another reason why that last fight really sucked. They picked up the Aghanim Scepter on XM. Did you see what happened? I thought he couldn't nosedive because he was controlled by the bear. He tried to nosedive almost immediately. The Sonic Wave hit him. And forced movement stops him from landing. And so he only had the passive effect of Aghanim Scepter. He never got to use the active because the forced movement of Sonic Wave killed it.
Well, I mean, that's a Viper problem.
Yeah, that's a Viper problem for sure. Nice two-man RP, though, into the silence as well. That looks real pretty. Azure bouncing back after a terrible laning phase and showing that, hey, we know how to play team fights.
You doubted him. You doubted him.
Yeah.
You doubted the Lifestealer jungle strat, as this orb will not win.
The level 2 Lifestealer. I don't think that's a strategy.
Well, it's working out here.
I think that's...
This game is looking, all of a sudden, not that bad.
I think level 2 Lifestealer, that's repentance for the sins of a bad laning phase.
I mean, they found the openings that I talked about, though, right? The silence on the Morphling before the Dispel and the RP on the LD before the ult.
Yeah.
And if you find those, you're just going to delete them. There's no saves on game inside. I also think their supports, this is the period in the game where their supports are maybe weaker than Azure Rays. Like, even though they have more net worth, even though they can impact the map a lot more, I think in the actual 5-on-5, their spells are not that impactful. You kind of need to get like a really good spell on the Rubik and like break the Viper back or steal RP or something like this. But if that doesn't happen, what spells are contributing to the fight that actually impact it? Like Sprout isn't doing much here. Nature's Wrath, whatever. This Overgrowth and the Calling are winning you fights right now. So if you can keep finding these types of skirmishes, you're really happy. And Ace's game got slowed down a bit. That's one death, but that is a very impactful death here as he's the biggest net worth in the game. And Harpoon completed. Gaimin do not want to get caught off anymore. They want to take the fight on their terms.
Yeah, frankly, both Morphling and Lone Druid have the same weakness where you get caught off guard, your entire net worth goes away in a flash. Good catch, though, on XM.
Oh, he just
stole a nosedive on the Rubik. That is a bold move. It's going to get him killed. A 1-for-1 trade-off so far with the bear going down as well.
No resummon for 60 here.
Okay.
I honestly think Azure Ray are kind of happy with that.
I think so, too.
Like, economically not the best, but it gives them a lot of time here because now Ace has no bear for 50 and he used ult for it. Huh? This is such a weird game.
It's not normal, that's for sure.
And honestly, the Lifestealer has been doing some work versus bear. He kind of just walks in and kills
ball.
Yeah, I don't know if Tofu... I think it's one of those things that seems great in your mind until you're there. And you're like, wait, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, guys, look how cool this is going to be.
This bear dies fast, man.
Yeah.
It really dies fast. If you get some Viper stacks on and the Lifestealer can come in with Empower. He hits a lot harder than he normally would with this net worth because you got Empower to back you up.
A big factor in this matchup, though, in the modern era of Lone Druid versus Lifestealer is being able to have the Shard. That has made a huge difference in some of these fights. The Lifestealer being able to put open wounds on the bear, both slowing down the bear, giving him a bunch of sustain, but then there's the threat of it bouncing over to other heroes in the team fight.
This interaction's looked quite good in the team fight. It's impressed me how good it's looked. I mean, I know it's like, well, it should be that, but honestly, it feels like Ace hasn't been able to use his position that easily, despite the start he was given. So back to farming. Got to get this Basher. That's one of the things that can sway this Lifestealer matchup. Probably the best itemization for Lone Druid here.
Yeah, Basher, AC, those are big timings.
The armor and the disable is what you're looking for. I guess one of the questions Gaimin are going to have to answer as these fights have swung back Azure Ray's way is, like, where's your sustained damage coming from in the fight if the bear dies? Is it just all in the Morphling? Because you have a Sonic Wave you can throw out, but it's not going to kill these tanky heroes. You have Infest, you have 2 Strength heroes, Mag's pretty tanky, you have Tree and Armor Overgrowth, Leech Seed that can buy some time, and the Viper is Viper, you know? This hero's beefy. Stolen Empower will help.
That's nice.
Radiant's
Well,
middle
Furion
tower
does have
is
Solar
under
Crest
attack.
and Pipe, so it's a lot harder to kill that bear, again,
Yeah, that helps.
when they see the fight coming.
And Gaimin are picking up more damage items. So I'm talking about the sustained damage in the fight. It'll be Manta Diffusal for Dyrachyo. Looking for an early Disperser. Pretty interesting. Maybe just wants to help him, help them reposition in the fight, I guess, right?
Yeah.
The extra surge move speed pretty nice here with some Dispel. I can see it be pretty interesting, unconventional early itemization for Morphling, but if he has an Aegis, being aggressive doesn't hurt. And you have that Pipe and Solar Crest to back you up on top of Quinn finishing an Ags on the Queen, so you have a lot more sustained damage now between all the AoE daggers going out and this Morphling just running through, burning your mana. This is where Gaimin would now, I think, like to find the 5-on-5. These big items coming through looks a lot more favorable.
It's just as low as about to pick up a Radiance, which is a big team fight item for Azure.
Yeah, by the way, he's the same level as Ace. Bet you didn't have that on your bingo card there, Austin.
I did not. No. Listen, I'm not ashamed to say that I
Austin.
counted Azure out here.
No Faith Walsh.
That's a terrible nickname.
It's okay. We all know you're just biased towards Western Europe.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want. More Western Europe dominance. My dream. RP
Ooh.
straight up. Is this going to be enough burst damage? It is. Bye-bye Aegis.
Yeah, did not do a lot for him here. They're going to try and still catch, however, with the Fury on
Celery
TP.
TPing in aggressively to see if he can catch somebody, but they've got Skewer and
Yeah, they're
Blake,
just out of there.
so no problem.
XXS continuing to find these openings in the game. Like, it hasn't been some crazy, 10-0 game for him, but he is 2-1-1. I feel like it's a pretty damn impactful 2-1-1 given their position. As he found the big RP by their triangle on 2, and now killing an Aegis, slowing down momentum some more. Quinn aggressively blinks in. That might be regrettable, my friend.
Yeah, I don't think you want to be fighting a Viper underneath a tier 2 that aggressively. This is not the same Viper you were bullying just
Bear.
10 minutes ago. Bear on Lifestealer battle here with Dyrachyo coming in. The mana's been completely burned out of low. He doesn't have a way out of this one. He's going to be stuck through overgrowth. The Manta immediately popped out. The heals are coming through, but eventually it's going to rare out. Now XXS skewering in Tofu, trying to get some small pickups out of this one. Well, they are going to buy back for this one. Oh, they see an opportunity. They need the Lifestealer for the damage. Oh no, the Fear Shot missed, and Ace gets hit by the Skewer. XXS to the rescue once again, but they need to be able to blink to catch him
So damn
still.
fast.
He's outside of vision. They see him now. They got him with the Hurricane Bike and pull him back in. A buyback from low that was crucial in being able to turn that around. Very favorable fight in the end for Azure.
Yeah, they get a lot of golden XP out of that, and maybe the real winner is XM out of all that. He just gets to sit there with Viper under the Nether Toxin. Everybody's hitting him. Everybody's proccing. He's slowing everything. Just a nasty place to be in. And again, it starts with Quinn over-aggressiveness, right?
Yep.
Feels like he can poke and get away with it, but Magnus with Harpoon, one of the best catch mechanisms in Dota right now, and it shows its prowess in this fight as XXS just locks everybody in a pit of hell. The fact Low survived for this long too, he's Radiance burning everybody here, pretty big. Stolen overgrowth from Tofu, really nice here as it locks people down, but it's just not enough. You're in Viper land right now, and it is not fun for you.
Yeah, we finally get to see the power of that disarm from XM against the Lone Druid. Works out very nicely.
And they got 2 bears out of that. 2 bears into the Lone Druid kill.
Oh, wow, that's even better.
That is a lot of gold going in your pocket. 5 bears have been slain. God damn. This Harpoon has landed some big targets. I'll tell you that much.
Look at the Train Protector somehow picked up one of those last hits. And as a result, he is closing in on a Blink Dagger. He can use the Mighty Minds buff.
I will say Living Armor has been very annoying for Gaimin to deal with in these fights.
I didn't think Mighty Minds gave you mana regen.
No, it's a wishing well.
What a weird... what a weird thing in Dota. Literally nobody ever talks about. Doubt anybody really thinks about it ever.
Guess who's the highest level in the game?
Is it low?
It's your boy Low. He's started from the bottom, now he's here at the top.
Wow.
Doubters in shambles.
Not in the top of net worth, but definitely top in experience, and XXS is not too far away He's going to be joining him in that level 18 spot soon as well.
That was also the Basher air time, and it didn't really help the man fight too much, I feel.
Nope.
We'll see. Gaimin, I feel like they're still kind of searching for answers in these team fights. Not that they're going that bad, but they should be going better, right? Given their position.
Yep.
Like, I feel like this is a game where they think they should be up a lot more. Maybe they should, but
they probably feel like they should have been able to take like a lane of barracks by now.
And just Azure playing a really solid defensive game here in game one as they're holding their map and consistently baiting Gaimin into going into them, which is where their lineup thrives. Dyrachyo, you have a gem on you.
Oh, almost got him on the RP, but Dyrachyo sees it coming this time. Disperser to help get him out.
Yeah, that Obs just saved a lot of net worth right there. Interesting that they gave gem to the Morphling here. There'll be a smoke from Gaimin. Trying to still find a fight that starts on their terms. I feel like that has been the biggest issue for them. The one fight that went well for them was bottom, where they got the ward behind the tier 2, and they started on the Viper. Those types of engagements are the best because then Quinn can play the distance game, and he's not getting bursted. These fights where you're going into Azure and they're all set up, it's tough.
Yeah, no more aggressively blinking into the fight, I think.
Definitely learned his lesson. By the way, we do have a greater healing Lotus on Tofu. That is potentially pretty nice here. You can feed it to somebody in the middle of the fight.
Something to look out for sure. How's Jin Q making his... Oh, Dyrachyo missing that fear shot, but he's got the vision.
Wow, you really caster cursed the hell out of him right there. How's he doing down here? Oh, team.
My God, he's dead.
This will open up that high ground. Like we were saying, this is normally when they want to be going high ground, so maybe that's all it takes.
They are going to be matched up. It's a Treant Protector lineup, so poking, unless you're going to be taking the building outright, may be a little
I don't
fruitless.
think you can siege like this. I think the bear just dies every time for free. You have a BKB on low too, so he's not afraid to commit the rage and still have, you know, a get out of jail free card, right?
I don't see how they're still sticking around. After that bear got massacred, I'd be hightailing it.
Also, you have Viper Shard. So you're starting to, you know, you increase the stacks, you reduce some armor. The high ground defense is formidable here. This is a mag lineup plus a Viper that can frontline with living armor. Not an easy poke.
That magic amp would be pretty nice as Jin Q gets bigger as well, right? None of the other heroes really take advantage of that lowered magic resistance, but...
Honestly, this game looks hard for Gaimin if it goes late, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
I think they need Aegis's in a pretty big lead. I feel like the synergy and the power on everybody here is just going to overwhelm you. Like, those are generally not the games Lone Druid wins in this meta either, at least in my opinion. I know the opinions on this are, like, super varied. This hero obviously can go late in these, like, dual tri-core lineups and be a huge threat. I'm not saying he can't win late game, but I feel like the hero is designed to tempo you. Like, get Diffusal, get Harpoon, get Roshans, and you're going high ground around this time period. That's an ideal Lone Druid game. So the fact that it's getting stalled out a bit right now, I think Azure are happy with that. I mean, especially considering they had a jungle lifestealer, you know?
Sneaking around, Dyrachyo keeping the same MO of just really aggressively putting himself out there with this Shadowblade Gem combination, getting good information for Gaimin Gladiators as they are going to be playing for this next Roshan.
Did this Disperser pay off? That's the big question.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen it be huge and impactful.
It may have paid off in that one
he's
fight.
Just run into a smoke right now.
It's going to break on him, getting a lot of information. XM running into the bear, immediately going to try and target that one. The Sonic Wave pushing away. The bear trying to retreat below. He's going to stick onto that bear. The Fear Shot's going to push him in even deeper, and they get the RP. That grabbed Dyrachyo. Beautiful stuff. A stolen RP, but it's not good enough. It has come too late to be able to bail out the carry, so no damage behind it. And Tofu, he'll be munched on here. There goes that Lotus. Stole Rage, but it doesn't matter. Low. Finish him off with the physical damage, and it's Azure who will now completely take an advantage in this game, winning the fight and taking Roshan for themselves.
I don't know. These fights look impossible, man. Like, how do you start it that leads to anything, right? Your damage is Morphling and a bear. They have to get in close range. You don't have burst damage for the Viper because you only have, like, one lift. So the second the Viper nosedives and he just sits there, what do you do?
Yeah.
You need breaks or more long-range poke, maybe Fury on Ags?
I mean, I will say, not having AC at this point on the Bear, this matchup looks terrible.
Yeah, it's rough.
In the Lifestealer versus Lone Druid matchup when you have no additional armor on the Bear yet.
I mean, he's also just Radiance burning everybody, and there's no MKBs or anything.
Yeah.
So you're not breaking anything. You're not getting rid of the passives. You're not piercing the evasion. The supports have been hard for Gaimin to focus, right? Because it's a Murtha with an ult that reliably gets off, and it's an Invis Treant. So it's not like you can just, oh, let's kill the backline and take a numbers fight. This is a very tough game, honestly. The more, it just seems like, I don't want to say it's an outdraft, but the more I watch these fights, it's like a brick wall.
I mean, I think it's fair to say an outdraft if you win lanes that hard and can't close it out.
But
even if you could say there's some mistakes.
Sure,
and
but
stuff.
Gaimin, when they watch this replay, right, they're going to, I guarantee you, they're going to be like, wow, guys, we were up like 10K and didn't get anything done with it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how they're going to feel, right? Which I think theoretically is probably true. I think there's a lot of routes they close that game out, and maybe 1 or 2 good RPs that switches the game. But yeah, like when you have a jungle lifestealer and you're winning team fights, I mean, something conceptually is going your way. And now you have a heart for Viper who already felt unkillable. This is getting brutal, man. You have an Ags on low as well, so he can just aggressively infest if he wants to. It's another disarm mechanic, right? We're talking about the disarm messing with the Lone Druid in the Morphling. They just can't hit anything. And like we saw in that fight, even if you get the stolen RP, if the damage isn't alive to take advantage of it, what good does it do you?
Yeah. It feels like the Bear needs both BKB and AC.
He needs an AC, he needs an MKB, and he's going Ags.
He's going to Ags. So are they changing?
Wait, he wants to buff the Morph, I guess, right?
Top tower has fallen.
Yeah.
Interesting. Isn't this mainly for, like, the armor, though?
I mean, more, it's a healthy amount of attack speed that you're giving, I believe, so.
But is Morph the... Oh, you're going to catch 2 here.
That is rough.
Yeah, that's a nice catch.
Good catch by Tianming. Oh, blink away just before the Fear shot and a TP out. That works.
All right. Really nice play from Tofu to get out of there, but you're still losing your Morphling. Dyrachyo just can't find his footing in this game. And what I was saying is, like, is Morphling the hero? Like, when you're in this game, you're watching these fights. If I'm Dyrachyo, am I sitting there going, guys, I just need some more armor and attack speed? Maybe. I don't know. I just don't know if that's worth 4K on the Lone Druid to get. Like, Vlad's and drums here from Celery, I'm all for that, right? Because you do need more sustained fighting power, but I think it has to come from the supports who... You just have to scale better right now. That's your biggest problem you're facing. We'll see if it pays off. It's an interesting itemization.
Well, I think I could safely say that neither one of us is Lone Druid players. So
Speak
this
for
is...
yourself.
All right. I'm looking forward to seeing you break it out in our Party Q games.
Yeah, the last time I played Lone Druid, Slacks quit Dota for a week, so I don't think I'm going back to that.
I will, I'll just wait and see. Maybe this Aghanim Scepter is going to be super sick. I can't say I've ever seen it in a professional match. Certainly not what I would have expected, but here it is. Skewer back in, Quinn able to make the blink away, no problem there.
Oh, God, Skewer.
An opportunity, but Tofu
that would have
not
been a nice
able to
grab.
get it.
That was a gem tree, and he almost skewered back.
Yeah,
that would have
been
been one. This is still a good spell. This is a spell that can change the dynamic of the fights. If you get some like blink skewer on a hero, you can isolate them. Suddenly this ball isn't as strong. Majorays are going to get another bear kill here.
Just keep
Can't
on
do
getting
anything
them.
about it. Man, they have killed a lot of bears this game. Low. He was top of the XP, and now he's top of the net worth. The road to recovery has not been pretty, but it has been there. And they are up net worth for the first time in this game. Tremendous comeback. Off a game many would have rode off, but that is another reason why there should never be a concede button in Dota. You would have pressed it, Austin.
I would have.
You are a weaker man.
If I was XXS, I would have been like, what the hell is going on in this bottom lane? But, I mean, shout out to I feel like he was the catalyst for this turnaround of the this game. He gave them their only moves were some of the RPs that he had and got them through to the point where everybody else could start having an impact.
I mean, he made 2 or 3 moves, but they were 2 or 3 very impactful moves on this game.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to get to this MKB. So the MKB on Dyrachyo, you know, that plus the Silver Edge, I can start to see some of this damage come out, right? If you can land some stuns in like a lift or stolen RP, maybe a decent Savage Roar on Sonic Wave, and Dyrachyo gets some time to actually hit people.
Yeah.
I can see the MKB plus that Silver Edge start to get there, especially when you have Vlad, Solar Crest, Boots of Bearing on Celery to back it up. There's a lot of auras on this Furion right now. A lot of auras.
Oh, he gave the Aghanim Scepter to the bear. So it wasn't his Aghanims on the hero.
Oh, okay.
Which I think that just means that you're looking for more, like you feel like you can't take team fights straight up, right? And you're just trying to
it's the old LD Ags that'll rat up the map.
Yeah.
I guess that was always a factor. I just didn't really consider it because you almost never see that either, right?
Yeah.
But I guess that signifies that they feel this game needs to go late now, right?
Yeah.
Like 6 slots, everybody. They cannot end it. I think that is a fair assessment. Because you can't go high ground. Even if you get the next Aegis, how are you going high ground, right?
Yeah.
So
I guess it is a healthy amount of armor he's getting out of the Aghanim Scepter when you go the Wraithband build as well. Because it shares, it increases the share by 35%, so.
Celery will pay the price for attempted steal here. Damn. Havoc Hammer.
Yeah.
Havoc Hammer Viper.
He's going to nose dive in and then pull them all together.
Yeah, I like it, actually. That's pretty cool. I mean, he has so much strength as well.
Yep. Wait, what? Is that a first right there? Dyrachyo, he's going to battle it out here after support dies.
Yeah, but he's disarmed.
Yeah, that low. Making use of that Ags. They're going to turn back. Oh, got a bash. Quinn, he's dead. What was he doing joining in on this fight?
He just had no game, man. I mean, every time he blinks into a fight, he just dies. So I guess he needs to stop blinking into the fight, but what else is Queen of Pain supposed to do in a way?
Why did Tianping get a Mindbreaker, by the way?
For the silence, bro.
I guess.
This game might just be over off that.
Yeah. I mean,
your building's going to melt to Empower plus the Viper Shard.
Yeah, they're going to be forced into some buybacks, surely, but they're already in a situation where they need more items. Dyrachyo got the break onto him. Manta immediately trying to back away, but he's invested, already taking so much damage. Telekinesis trying to toss away, but Tofu can't bail him out. He's dead, no buyback there. And without the Morphling, they frankly just do not have the damage as the Bear can't do anything. Not against this lifesteal and disarm coming out from this Viper. And now that the Bear's gone, and now that the Water Boy's gone as well, there's really nothing left in the elements for Gaimin Gladiators. They'll stick around for this fight, try and poke at some of these heroes. Another Infest usage. Jumping onto Bear this time around, start putting the damage back into him. Easily getting these kills.
Yeah, that's it.
GG.
Yeah, what an interesting game, honestly. Like I feel like this is a very frustrating game for Gaimin because this was going pretty much exactly how they planned it, right? Like lane dominance, they're probably thinking in 10 minutes this game is over. They have a jungle lifestealer.
Yep.
But none of those team fights felt that one-sided given their position, and they couldn't translate it into ending this game.